there's a good question to ask. What is FGM?
I'm a victim already, but I will never do it to my daughter. Then I will spread the word. I don't have much to say because I'm already a victim. Because when we are young, our parents just do that to us because we are little. We don't experience more. When I came to the UK, I realized in my country as well, Sierra Leone, we stop to do those things. So my daughter, I will never push my daughter to do those things.
A child might be taken to do it and not even know what they were going for.
Yes.
They never know. Just like Zara was saying, we're all survivors. I don't like to use the word victim, we're all survivors.
Yeah.
And you go under this false pretense like you're going to visit a relative in a village, or you're going to do some sort of family celebration or some sort of family gathering, and then you get there, the place is full of people, drums and dancing and food and everything is going on, so you don't even know what you're there for.
Yes.
Until actually somebody come up to you and blindfold you and then take you to this secret place where you've got no clue where you're going. They just tell you, follow me, I'll lead you. Yeah. And then you get there and you're thinking to yourself, okay, why am I being blindfolded? What are you doing to me? Yeah. And that is where I think a lot of the complications come from, because you were not aware of what they're going to do to you at all. And then all of a sudden, maybe for some girls, that's the first time, other than their mom bathing them, somebody else is touching their private part. And then for you to feel all of a sudden somebody's touching you there, and the next thing you know is the sharp, the most horrendous pain you can ever
you don't have to say no.
So when we think about FGM, legally, what is it? It's any form of cutting or alteration around a person's, a female's private genitalia that is not medically necessary.
Well, the issue with consent is a very, for me, is a very straightforward one, because a child cannot consent to their own abuse. And FGM is considered, or FGC, which is a female genital cutting. It's a violation of one's human rights, and it's considered to be child abuse. So a child cannot give consent.
My experience is really advising and assisting families who have been asked questions due to the fact that they are seen as at risk of maybe carrying out FGM or suspected of carrying out a level of harm to their children around the area of FGM. So really advising them on what they should be doing. Well, an FGM Protection Order is an order that either an individual or a third person, somebody in the community, a relevant organisation, like a social services or a teacher, or somebody can apply to court for. The initial starting of making this application can be done without anybody being in the courtroom. So knowing that you can go and have that ability to have some time and have everybody come to court on another day with an explanation as to what is happening, whether it's an innocent misunderstanding or whether there is a serious risk of harm, is really what the order is all about.
When we hear an order, people think about it's just a piece of paper. And it's not the paper that protects the child, but it's in that order you can put conditions. And it's the conditions that would protect that child. So one condition could be this child would not be allowed to travel overseas, or they can place a travel ban. So no travel until the age of 16 or until the age of 17, 365 days. Next day to become an adult, or it could be for a longer period of time. Or you have to submit, the parents have to submit the child's passport. Some orders may say that the child would have to be medically examined, or social worker visit that child 3 to 4 times for the year. So you can design the order depending on the circumstances of the case.
But if the court comes to that decision that there is a risk, even if it's small, it could be drafted, an order could be drafted in a way that you're even happy with, outlining that you're not going to take the child to certain areas, present the child to certain people, you'll be back on a certain date, you're happy for the child to be examined. etc. So that's the beauty, I would say, of a law.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? FGM Protection Orders.
I think it's a
Good thing.
Very good thing.
Why do you think the community will be skeptical or afraid of FGM Protection Orders?
People are scared about what's going to happen to my child.
And not even that, I think as a community member as well, you will have some people who might be thinking, yes, there is a risk. I can go for court protection order for this child, but in fear of what if then they take the child from the family. I don't want that on my head to say, oh, that child was taken away from their family because I reported something that I wasn't certain of.
From my experience at the National FGM Center, we've been involved in around 40 FGM protection orders, and only about in 2 or 3 of those cases the children were removed. And in most of those cases, so children remain at home with their parents. And in those cases where the children were removed, there were other issues within the family, like domestic abuse or parental mental health, which coincided with concerns around risk of FGM. So the majority of cases, children will stay home. But I can understand communities' fear. What if I say something that results in this child being taken away? The court will make what we call an interim protection order. So it's probably just for a short period whilst the case is being investigated. And I know children's services have a bad reputation. The first thing that you hear about, you think, is that they're going to take away people's children, right? But we have to be honest, they do a lot of good work. They support families, children who need support as well, not only protection. But you could always pass on your concerns to the NSPCC.
I would rather report something, get it investigated and dealt with, other than years down the line, something then happened to that child. And then I thought to myself, I could have done something about this. I don't think I want to live with that guilt.
As I said, some people are a bit skeptical. And I must say, I was even a bit skeptical at the time. I was concerned that, it's not just abused or used out of proportion, disproportionately. But over time, people have had more training and there's a better understanding.
We know that for many people in our community, right, that just hearing the word court. I mean, my background is social work, and when I had to go to court, it was the Royal Court of Justice. I would feel intimidated, so far more for a parent coming from a country as well where you've been persecuted, and court is linked to the state. If, as you said, it's just an investigation, you need to get more information, but it's still it's still threatening. If it's a situation where the local children's services go to court to get an order, the FGM protection order, and you find yourself being accused of something when you know that you're not going to pose a threat to your child because the information they have, they still need to investigate it, even though that you might be innocent.
They might trust you. They don't know the other people.
If we use an example where, let's say a parent has concerns that, let's say one parent has concerns that another parent is going to cut their child or take the child overseas, and someone else, another family member, could present a threat to that child, they can pass it on to the NSPCC, because there's the FGM helpline of the NSPCC, which is the National Society for Prevention of Cruelty towards Children, or they can dial 999, inform the police, or refer it to Children's Services. And one way of protecting that child would be to go to court to get an FGM protection order.
With the order, if there's a conflict, depending whether it's a man, the father, or the mother, can they do the reporting in confidence? Do they have to go to court? I mean, I'm assuming the first instance, if they're scared of it, can they do it in confidence? Because that, again, thinking of the community conversations, would be such a big barrier in the women being afraid of,
I was thinking about that as well, not even just that, because yes, we know in African community the men are always in charge, but also the way we're brought up to give absolute respect to your parents and everything.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, yes, I want to go home, I want to visit my family, I want to see my family. But if I take my daughter, there is the risk that my mom or aunties or somebody will just go grab them and do what they think should be done, that I haven't got the guts to do because I've been whitewashed, brainwashed, westernized, and I don't have forgot my culture.
Yeah.
It is, it is quite difficult, isn't it?
But I suppose the difficulty is that if the father presents a threat and his name is on the order is no good unless it's served to him. So he must know what's written in the order to know what he's prohibited from doing or restricted from doing. So he's going to find out anyway. You know? But some parents have used an order in a way where we know that they are not the person who presents a threat to the child, but it's probably, let's say, a grandparent. And so they use the order as a way, when you go on holiday, you present it, it's very official and stuff like that, and you say, well, look, you know what, we can't perform FGM because this is what it says here, and I can go to prison. So they use that as a way to ensure that they're able to protect their child.
I think people need to also see, or eventually see, how it has helped some children who themselves are petrified. But they're like, oh, I want to obviously go and see the extended family back home, but I'm also scared. I know this has happened in our culture or community. How do I have a level of protection for myself? So it's about also reassuring that potential victim or that person who is afraid as well.
And also that I think the people who have gone through it, survivors, and you need their backing. I think it's a very important tool to be there.
And with a judge, they would go on making sure there is minimal risk, if not none. It can't be, so far as there's a fraction, it's their duty to make sure that any child, whether born here or not, whether British or not, is protected. So some parents might think, oh, it's not even a British citizen, we're not even from here, how can this judge come and tell us how to manage our affairs, or where we should go on holiday, or when we should go on holiday? But the fact is, any child that comes into this country should be able to rely on the protection of the British legal system.
I would rather report something, get it investigated and dealt with, other than years down the line, something then happened to that child, and then I thought to myself, I could have done something about this. I don't think I want to live with that guilt.
Ba-da-bum-bum.